Clevitus is the strongest demon king feared by all humans, and his only goal is to wipe out humanity for good. But everything changes the day he finds a human baby and makes a choice that shocks even him. From that moment, Clem hides his power and starts a new life, pretending to be some regular loser, raising the kid right in the middle of the world he once swore to destroy. But how long can a demon king hide his true nature? As the story begins, we see a young girl walking with her father out to the farm. When they finish, he calls her to follow him back home. She wanders around the house, spots a map of Enzi, and notices something odd. Right after the edge of the map, there are only dark spaces. Just their continent, then pure darkness, so she can't help but wonder why. Curious as always, she turns to her dad and asks what's beyond their city, a question even he can't answer. He sees the curiosity in her eyes and wants to give her an answer, but he can't because the truth is that he doesn't know either. So he tells her that every human, just like her, is born wanting to know more. But every time someone tries to enter that darkness, it ends in disaster. He explains that in those dark lands there are 4 demons. Each one guards the west, east, north, and south of Ethia. Every team that's gone out to see what lies beyond has been wiped out, completely destroyed. She's shocked to hear this and wonders if it's really that dangerous, but still, it doesn't change how she feels. Her father tells her that until the demons are gone, no one can discover what's out there. Every problem should have a solution, but this one seems impossible. Then he explains that only heroes with special treasures have a chance. Only those with these legendary weapons can face the demons, and until the true hero appears, nobody can win. Instead of scaring her, this just makes her more excited. She dreams of being a hero, of fighting back. If she can get the Sword of Haydn, she'll be able to join the fight. When the heroes win, they'll finally see the world beyond the map and uncover what's hiding in those dark places. Years go by and Alicia grows up. She's no longer a child. She's now one of the chosen heroes. She opens her eyes in the truck that's carrying her to the edge of the city. She grips the chain around her neck and tells her father the time has come and she's ready to fight for her city. And she's not alone. Other heroes are heading out with her. As the journey continues, the group starts to talk and slowly introduce themselves along the way. There are a few notable figures among them, like Minarch, who carries the Golden Utopia treasure and simply says he doesn't know where he's from. They all look over at Alicia and ask her to introduce herself, clearly surprised to see a woman among their ranks, but Alicia doesn't bother to respond or say a word about herself. The carriage keeps rolling until they reach the edge of the territory where Stefan, known for wielding the Pegasus treasure, warns the group that they're getting close. Some of the others quietly whisper among themselves that Stefan is actually the strongest one in the whole group, which is why he acts like he is the leader. Suddenly, the carriage comes to a stop, and the driver tells them it can't go any farther. Everyone prepares to get down, but before they've even set foot on the ground, a sudden attack by demons catches them off guard, and in the chaos, several drivers are killed right away. Stefan yells for everyone to get out and fight back. They all rush out, and Stefan immediately divides the squad into smaller groups. The archers and lancers quickly jump into action, while Stefan tells the rest that he's going to team up with Alicia to take on the remaining enemies. Alicia, carrying the Rock Swallow treasure, joins Stefan in the battle. She's powerful and charismatic, but what stands out most is how sharp and aware she is of everything happening around her, never missing a detail. Then we see that standing on a mount in front of them is one of the demon lords. He begins speaking about the world being born from chaos. He admits that if the world itself is born of chaos, then he must be as well, and maybe he's right. The fighting gets even more intense as all the heroes leap and push their way through hills and over rocky ground, making their way up to the top of the mountain. Stefan, excited and ready for the challenge, is determined to live up to his reputation as the most intelligent one among them. He tells the group that today is the day they'll be recognized as true heroes, and they have to prove to everyone who chose them that they really are strong enough. Finally, when they reach Luna Mountain, the demon lord steps forward and shows himself. He looks both stunning and terrifying at the same time, with white, fluffy skin and a piercing stare that makes everyone uneasy. This is Clevitus of the Moonlight, the ruler of the far southern end of Ethia. Stefan is momentarily thrown off, and even he admits just how frightening this enemy really is. But despite the fear, this is exactly what they came for. They're here on a mission, they're not alone, and together they're determined to make the legend a reality. But just as Stefan braces himself to attack, Clevitus suddenly launches a strike from a distance, hurling Stefan into the side of the mountain and killing him instantly. And unfortunately, that was the end of Stefan. Everyone stands there frozen and shocked as hell because Clevitus didn't even move an inch and Stefan's already dead. One of the other heroes tries to step up and take charge, shouting at everyone to get it together and fight back, but Alicia isn't rushing in like the rest. She's scanning the mountain, looking for anything that might give them an edge. As the heroes get closer to Clevitus, he cuts them down one after another without taking a single step. Alicia quickly figures out what's happening. She shouts to the others, warning them that Clevitus is attacking with the shadows. If they want to survive, they need to stay away from the shadows. The group hesitates, not sure what to do, but Alicia doesn't wait. She starts leaping across the mountainside, running as fast as she can. The shadow follows her, and she's the first one who actually sees the attack coming and manages to fight back. Clevides' eyes light up in surprise. Maybe this battle won't be as easy as the others he's fought before, but still it catches his attention. This is humanity, and for 1,000 years he hasn't faced humans, but from what he remembers, they should be weak, as fragile as insects. Yet what he sees now is different. They're strong, they're on a mission, and nothing seems to break their determination. He can't quite figure out what's driving them, but he wants to understand where their strength comes from. The heroes fight with everything they have, but Clevides defeats them all. In the end, Alicia is the last to fall. As she's sent flying into the air, she closes her eyes, accepting her fate. She apologizes to her father for not making her dream come true, but not every dream is meant to happen, and hers is one of those that just wasn't meant to be. Meanwhile, in capital Hitterat, the people of the Haydn Kingdom go about their daily lives, unaware of the danger approaching. That's when Clevides erupts from the mountain outside the city. Panic spreads as he appears. Everyone in the city is terrified, but Clevides isn't interested in hurting them. He's only curious about what drives these people. He remembers that the ones who attacked him called themselves heroes sent by the king of Haydn, and now he plans to fight his way to the palace to reach the king. The villagers panic and run for safety, while the knights rush into action, bringing out their archers to launch an attack. But Clevides doesn't attack them in return. Instead, he soars above the rooftops, heading straight for the palace, determined to discover what lies at the heart of their resolve. The knights strengthen the security of the palace gates and fire a volley of arrows at Clevides, but none of their shots come close to hitting him. He watches their attacks, unfazed, and quickly realizes they're not as strong as he expected. They're still weak and nothing they do can harm him. With a single swing of his arm, he smashes the palace wall to the ground. The knights quickly realize the situation is out of their control, so one of them rushes off to warn the king that the Demon King has attacked. The king doesn't seem surprised. For the Demon King to reach the city, there can only be one reason: the heroes have failed. He rises from his throne and moves toward the only thing he has left to protect, the legendary blade of Haydn, Mana Hitterit. The knight insists that a demon has invaded the city and can't be stopped, urging the king to hide. But if the demon truly is unstoppable, the king reasons there's no point in running because no matter where he goes, the demon will find him. The knights keep fighting, launching fire and arrows at Clevides, but he knows none of it will make a difference. Still, he remembers how Alicia's sword managed to wound him, even if just a little. It proves that if humans are left unchecked, they can eventually grow stronger and become a threat. He never approached human territory, but now they're after his land, and for him, that's reason enough to fight back. The king approaches the door to defend the sacred blade, but as he opens it, Clevides appears right in front of him. With one look at the crown and the clothes, Clevides instantly knows he's facing the king. He calls it out, speaking clear human language, and that throws the king off because a demon shouldn't be able to talk like them. The king is shocked, asking how a damn beast like him can even speak their tongue. Clevides just tells him to watch his filthy mouth because he's the only one with the power to save humanity. He has a few questions, and the king's answers will decide if all of humanity survives or gets wiped out. By all humanity, Clevides doesn't just mean Haydn's people, but also those of Duns, Orgates, Sladins, and Benti. His questions are direct. Who are humans? What defines their character? What is their true motivation? And why do they want to attack the Demon Kingdom? The king refuses to give any answers to a demon and only says that a beast could never understand. Clevides doesn't bother asking again, and he simply takes off the king's head. Clevides turns away, convinced now that humans are a threat and must be wiped out. He decides that, to destroy all of humanity, he'll need a team by his side, and he's willing to take his time building it. As he walks off, the sound of a crying baby catches his attention. Lying nearby is a mother barely alive, holding her child with the last of her strength. Clevides comes closer, uninterested at first when he sees it's just a human baby. But then the mother speaks. She begs him and pleads for him to save her child. He's taken aback and wonders if she even knows who the hell she's asking because she's begging the very source of her people's suffering. He tells her straight out that he's here to destroy humanity, and if she needs to blame someone for the baby's death, she should blame the child for being born human. But the dying woman refuses to back down and insists that no child ever gets to choose what they're born as. He doesn't care, but still he tells her if she wants him to spare the baby, she should give him a reason. The woman, running out of strength, says she can't prove the child's worth now, but she's certain the child will prove it when he grows up, and with that, she dies. Clevides picks up the child, and he isn't convinced, but since she was so sure, he decides he'll wait and see if this human is any different. After all, it won't take him long to watch a child grow. Elsewhere in this massive kingdom, we learn that there are 5 human races living in the world. First are the Duns, the most numerous. Next come the Orgites, known for their bravery and the horns on their heads. Then there are the Sladins, who are mostly introverted and don't interact much with others. After that are the Benti, who look a lot like demonic bandits but have incredible strength. Finally, there are the Haydnines, the oldest and the most mysterious and wisest of all. They have a unique ability to craft weapons from arcanicite, but only the royal family knows the secret technique. Because wisdom is what the Hydaneans value most, they've spent years selling their weapons to the Duns. These deals have led to all kinds of adventures and partnerships between the two races, resulting in plenty of mixed bloodlines. Still, pure Hydaneans are extremely rare. And outside the massive kingdom where all these races live, wild dark beasts roam the land. Then we see back in the Luna Mountains, the massive 9-tailed beast Clevides fends off a pack of smaller monsters that are about to gobble the baby. Terrified and helpless, the baby bursts into tears, and Clevides is honestly concerned the child won't last long at this rate. He wraps his tails around the baby, trying to figure out how to get this loudmouth to calm down. For a moment, he places the tip of his claw on the baby's head, and just like that, the baby falls asleep. Watching over the child, Clevides thinks to himself that it's only a matter of time before the kid drops a poop bomb. Sure enough, not long after, the baby wakes up, starts wailing, and as expected, makes a mess. Annoyed, Clevides scoots up the child and heads out to solve the problem. And the best he can come up with is tossing the kid in a damn pit. But it's not as bad as it sounds, because it's just a pit full of bugs, harmless ones that actually eat poop. Then while the bugs dig into the delicious meal, Clevides blurts out his ridiculous idea that humans supposedly reach adulthood in just a matter of nights. He thinks back to where he found the baby and realizes he doesn't even know who this kid really is, and he blames his own soft heart for turning back to pick up the child in the first place. But it's too late for regrets. Now he's stuck with a human baby, and his pride as Lord of the Dark Beasts won't let him drop the kid off anywhere. So he decides he'll just have to raise the kid himself, but he has no idea what the hell to do next. He knows he can't raise the child alone because humans need to eat, and he has zero experience with this. Thinking fast, he looks at the bodies left behind from the recent battle and decides to revive Alicia. Then we see that Alicia's father was killed by dark beasts, and that's why she led an army to get revenge on the Lord of Dark Beasts, but that only ended in tragedy for her and her team. Now with Clevides' dark powers, Alicia is given a second shot at life. The moment she wakes up, she tries to fight back, but quickly notices her sword and the bodies of her comrades are gone. Clevides tells her, almost bragging, that he brought her back to life using his dark power, so she's basically a walking corpse now. After hearing that, she looks down at herself, stunned and horrified. But then she gets more confused about how the hell Clevides speaks their language so well, but then deep down, she's still a little bit relieved to realize she's the only one left alive. Right then, Clevides orders Alicia to reveal her fun bags. Shocked, she immediately thinks the Lord of Dark Beasts is making some kind of pervy advances on her, and her mind starts to run wild. But before she can react further, he interrupts her dirty thoughts and explains it's because the baby is hungry. He orders her to ditch the armor and get her melons out now. And because he used dark magic to revive her, she's forced to obey, even though she's frustrated and embarrassed. She slowly lifts her top and does what he asked, only to discover that, unsurprisingly, she doesn't have any milk at all. Clevides is completely taken aback, but Alicia's still annoyed, explains to him that only women who've given birth can produce milk. Embarrassed by the whole situation, she begs him to just end her life, but he ignores her. While they argue, the baby starts crying again, and instead of solving the problem, the two end up arguing about how Clevides even found the child in the first place. Tired of the pointless conversation, Clevides orders her to come up with a way to feed the baby. Even though Alicia knows nothing about raising a child, she admits they need a woman who can actually nurse the baby. The next problem is, how do they find one? So she tells him they have to hire someone, but that requires money, and Clevides, of course, is completely broke. But Alicia points out that with all the arcanicite in the cave, it could easily make some cash. While he's thinking this over, Alicia contemplates attacking him, but with no weapon, she has no choice but to stand by. After a quick pause, Clevides agrees to find a woman who can feed the baby. He's about to leave the cave when Alicia points out the obvious. He can't just walk into town in his current form because he'd terrify everyone he saw. Alicia then offers to take the baby herself, but Clevides refuses to let the child out of his sight. So instead, he transforms himself into the form of a human boy. While his disguise is pretty convincing, his 9 tails are still swishing behind him. He quickly pulls the tails into his shadow underneath, but one small horn stays on his head. Not noticing the horn, Clevides is satisfied with his disguise, and Alicia wisely decides not to say a word about it. Before they head out, Clevides decides they need names. He picks Clen for himself and gives the baby the name Luna. Only then does he bother to ask Alicia what her name is, and she finally tells him. After that, they all head down to a small river nearby. Once there, Alicia takes on the job of bathing the child. In the middle of it, Clen interrupts her constantly, but she keeps going until Luna ends up peeing right in her face. Clen doesn't miss a chance to criticize, acting like the world's most annoying mother-in-law. He nitpicks everything she does, from the way she washes the baby to how she wraps him up, even pointing out which spots she should focus on while cleaning. Once Alicia is done, she's exhausted, but Clem actually thinks the poop-eating bugs did a better job than she did. They leave the river and make their way to Alicia's old camp, only to find it empty. Alicia explains that her group hid their valuables somewhere else before the attack. They set out for the stash, but Clem makes her stop to clean up herself first because she stinks. Also, he hands her the baby's dirty clothes and tells her to wash them too. While doing this, Alicia notices the crest of the Hydenians' royal family on the fabric, and she realizes the baby is actually royalty. At the same time, back in the ruins of the castle, a lone soldier runs through the wreckage, searching for survivors. He's shocked by the devastation left by the Dark Lord and remembers that the crown princess had planned to escape the kingdom with her child before disaster struck. He curses the king's madness for destroying the kingdom, but still clings to hope that someone made it out alive. Meanwhile, General Drell and his men survey the remains of the Hydenians' kingdom. Drell quickly orders one of his soldiers to inform the Emperor, warning that if they don't claim the land now, another race will beat them to it. He's mainly interested in the secrets of arcanocite crafting, a technique known only to the Hydenians' royal family. As he heads back to gather his army, he tells his second-in-command Maynard to hunt for any survivors with royal blood and bring them straight to him. Back with our happy family, we see Alicia confront Clem, holding up the crested cloth and accusing him of kidnapping a child with royal blood. Clem is stunned to hear this because he honestly didn't know. He tells Alicia that someone who looked exactly like the human form he's now using was the one who handed him the child. Alicia doesn't buy his story for a second, but Clem cuts her off and admits he killed the king because the king attacked him first. He warns her that now plenty of people will be searching for the child, hoping to get the secret of arcanocite crafting. Now that he knows the child is royal, Clem is determined to raise him as a king, planning to control things from behind the scenes. Alicia feels a chill because she's scared by the idea that Clem thinks of Luna as his servant. She suddenly wonders if, by revealing Luna's true identity, she's only made things worse. Clem then interrupts her thoughts, reminding her that they still need to find a woman with milk to feed the baby. As they head out, Alicia tries to reassure herself that humans would never accept Clem, especially the horns sticking out of his head. But then she remembers that the Orgites have similar horns, which could make it easy for Clem to blend in. Still, Alicia is convinced the humans will eventually figure him out and stop whatever he's planning. At the same time, she realizes just how obsessed Clem is with Luna, and the thought of Luna being harmed or lost terrifies her. So from that moment, Alicia decides she must do everything she can to protect Luna no matter what, or humanity will vanish. On the road, the group is suddenly attacked by bandits. The first blow lands square on Clem's head. Alicia assumes that ordinary bandits should be no problem for the Lord of Dark Beasts, but to her shock, Clem collapses to the ground, bleeding heavily. Panicked, Alicia screams like an annoying girl, only to be struck from behind herself, knocking her out cold. She's stunned by how weak she is, even with Clevides's dark magic inside her. Sometime later, Alicia wakes up, momentarily disoriented, as if she's surrounded by her own soldiers on a mission to attack Clevites. But before she can get comfortable in her daydream, Clem snaps at her to wake up. Reality sets in. They've both been captured by the bandits, and Clem is grinning about it. They notice that they are all stuffed into the bandits' shitty carriage, packed tighter than a can of sardines, with a bunch of other poor bastards who've also been captured. And somehow, Clem is just chilling with little Luna sleeping peacefully in his arms, a stupid-ass grin plastered on his face that makes Alicia's anxiety skyrocket. She glances at Luna sleeping quietly and asks Clem how in the hell he managed to calm the kid down. Clem replies that Luna was indeed crying earlier, but thanks to the gentle rocking of the carriage, she's quiet now. Alicia pushes her way past the other miserable captives until she's close enough to whisper sharply at Clem, demanding to know why he, the badass legendary demon king, let himself get caught so easily. She figures his sudden makeover must have weakened him so much that some random asshole knocked him out with a single hit. Clem chuckles, admitting that she's almost right. Apparently, when he transformed into this scrawny-ass human disguised, it accidentally made his body as fragile as a damn toothpick. He didn't see that coming, so when someone cheap shot at him from behind, he went lights out immediately. Basically, his natural defense system is now about as effective as a wet napkin, but luckily, he can still power up his defenses if he really needs to. So Alicia wonders why Clem hasn't busted their asses out yet. Clem calmly explains that since he's now undercover as a human, he intends to keep his true badass Demon King powers under wraps until Luna is old enough to inherit the throne. Besides, he actually wants to let things play out so he can learn more about humans, especially why these innocent schmucks got kidnapped in the first place. Alicia stares at him like he's an idiot before bluntly explaining to his clueless brain that they've obviously been captured by bandits, who probably plan to sell their unlucky asses off to slave traders. Anyway, she quickly begs Clem not to judge all humans based on these thieving scumbags, because bandits are literally the bottom of humanity's barrel. Not long after, the carriage pulls up at the bandits' rundown base, and they're immediately split into two groups, men on one side, women and kids on the other. One of the captives suddenly makes a run for it, clearly sick of this bullshit. So Dagarn, one of the bandit leaders, watches the idiot sprint away, smirking smugly, knowing the guy just signed his own death warrant. Sure enough, another bandit casually hurls a dagger at the fleeing guy, impaling him straight through the back and dropping him faster than a sack of potatoes. With that moron permanently out of commission, Dagarn calmly warns the remaining fresh meat not to try anything similarly stupid, unless they want a blade decorating their spine too. Then his attention shifts straight to Alicia. He orders her to follow him, and before she can even protest, he roughly drags her off toward his room, intent on getting to the bottom of her melon. Clem then stands uncertainly until a woman named Karma, who appears to be in charge of handling the women and children section of this lovely human trafficking operation, notices him spacing out. Spotting Luna in his arms, Karma calls over her servant Neru, whose messed up job is basically daycare for kidnapped infants. Then we learn that the bandits' hideout is located in an abandoned quarry, and deep at the bottom of this sketchy-ass pit lies a mysterious pool of water, and at the very bottom of that pool sits a legendary red blade. Of course, it's guarded by something nasty as hell, probably a monster strong enough to rip anyone's face off. Anyway, turns out Dagarn isn't exactly the creep I thought he was, because he just drags Alicia straight to Vroko, the asshole currently playing leader of the Crows in place of their real boss, Zozak. Apparently, Vroko staged a little coup, stealing the top dog position, and nobody's dumb enough to complain since his pet beast Betty is a literal murder machine capable of turning anyone into ground beef. Alicia recognizes Betty immediately as a vicious Western demon and is stunned that a dumbass like Vroko actually managed to tame it. Vroko casually chats with Betty, who complains that she's bored and wants to play with a human guy. With a twisted grin, Vroko tells her to help herself to either one of the unlucky bandit morons who brought Alicia over. But before Betty picks her unlucky chew toy, Vroko finally reveals why he summoned Alicia. Obviously, his goons snatched the magic crystals Alicia grabbed from Clen's crib, and Vroko knows exactly that they're from Mount Moon, the lair of Big Bad Clevites. Considering this, plus the fact Alicia didn't immediately ship herself at Betty's presence, Vroko deduces she's one of the 13 heroes from Hyden sent on a suicide mission to take out Clevites. Assuming Alicia was headed back to Hyden loaded with these crystals, Vroko decides to drop a bombshell. The royal capital of Hyden has already been annihilated by Clevites. But this little apocalypse isn't exactly bad news for Vroko's crooked business. He proudly flashes a reddish sword, claiming it's a mana Hitterite blade, which only Hyden royalty know how to craft. Of course, Vroko's sword is faker than a $3 bill, and the Crows have been scamming people left and right with these knockoffs. Now that the entire royal family has officially logged off permanently, the price of these phony mana Hitterite swords has become extremely valuable. It's one hell of a money-making scheme if Vroko's greedy ass isn't satisfied because he's after something even bigger. The purest, most legit Hyderite swords crafted personally by Hyden's kings and handed exclusively to their heroes. Vroko confidently assumes all the other heroes have already gotten their asses handed to them by Clevites, accusing Alicia of abandoning her crew to save her own skin. He demands Alicia spill where the hell her own weapon is, plus the weapons from her 12 despawned teammates. Alicia stays stubbornly silent, pissing Vroko off even more, so he orders Dagarn and Satch to drag her ass back to Clevites' lair to find those valuable treasures. Dagarn, showing a rare spark of brains, suggests maybe it'd be smarter to have Alicia chase after another treasure they've been eyeing. But Vroko sticks to his guns, insisting on the original plan. Before sending them off, Vroko tells Dagarn and Satch they're free to warm up with Alicia however they like, making sure she won't cause trouble during the journey. At the same time, Clen's found himself working as a waiter at the shitty little inn run by Karma. Watching the bandits trying to flirt with Karma makes Clen silently gag, genuinely wondering how these sleazy bastards manage to exist without spontaneously combusting from their own shittiness. On the other hand, Neru is busy feeding Luna her legendary milk while also doubling as a waitress, and sadly the customers constantly abuse the hell out of her. Clen patiently serves meat to these low-life thugs, impressing the idiots with his strangely obedient demeanor. Karma, however, feels uneasy around Clen. Everyone here just assumes he's some kind of ogre because of his horns, but his pale-ass skin and ice-cold killer stare don't quite fit that profile. Suddenly, two particularly disgusting bandits decide to harass Neru, dragging her off somewhere private for their twisted entertainment. They spend all night torturing her, leaving her bruised and battered. But Neru stays quiet, silently enduring the abuse, and once those scumbags are finally done, she limps quietly back into the inn to feed Luna again like nothing happened. A few moments later, the same two bastards who brutalized Neru suddenly start feeling dizzy and weak as hell. Before they even realize what's happening, they straight up vanish from existence. Turns out Clen was behind their abrupt departure, quietly serving up some ice-cold justice for Neru. When Neru returns to Luna, she finds the kid safely in Clen's arms, totally clueless about what he just did to her tormentors. Her only concern is feeding Luna again, so she takes the baby and carries her gently to a nearby shed to nurse her in peace. Clen quietly follows her inside and sits down beside her, asking Neru to tell him about herself. He's curious if she's actually part of these crow assholes and what exactly their deal is. Neru hesitates for a second, unsure of how to explain, but Clem softly encourages her to continue talking, insisting he's genuinely interested in hearing her story and nothing more. Neru quietly begins to spill her tragic backstory, revealing that she spent her whole miserable life stuck in this shithole, with no identity beyond being a member of the Crow's gang. She never knew her father and only vaguely remembers her mother. As a kid, all she ever saw was her mom's back, and she learned early that her mother was basically just a serf, having caught glimpses of cruel people treating her badly. When she was 12, her mom suddenly disappeared without a trace. Neru never found out whether her mom died or just bolted to escape this hell, but she quickly learned what her mother had shielded her from. The same night her mother vanished, some of the crows stormed into her room while she ate and harmed her severely. From then on, life turned into a relentless nightmare. The vicious men slapped her daily, treating her worse than livestock until Karma eventually stepped in. Karma took pity on Neru, bluntly explaining that if she learned to make them happy, they might actually leave her alone for a bit. That night, Neru decided to follow Karma's terrible advice and started learning how to do what she had to survive. Although she knew she could never match Karma's level, her life marginally improved. At least now she had work and could feed infants like Luna thanks to her unusually abundant milk supply. So in some twisted way, she felt satisfied. Clem suddenly interrupts, confused as hell, asking bluntly how the hell she has milk without any children. Neru quietly admits that she had once been pregnant, but it ended in a tragic stillbirth. The baby moving inside her was the only thing keeping her sane. But when the midwives told her the child was dead, she sank into a frozen despair. Honestly, she was completely fine with passing away, figuring she might at least reunite with her lost child on the other side. But just as she was ready to let go, she suddenly felt warmth again. Her eyes snapped open to see a random 6-month-old baby desperately sucking at her melon, trying to survive. Seeing that little stranger fight so damn hard to live gave her a fresh purpose. She picked up the baby, fed him, and found new meaning in her miserable existence. Since then, she's fed countless other children who ended up at the Crow's base, each one reminding her that her life had value. She confesses she even tried twice more to have kids of her own, but both times ended in heartbreak. By now, Clem's had enough of this sob story, bluntly telling her to shut up already, and out of nowhere, he asks Neru if she wants to follow him as Luna's personal wet nurse. He insists he's not trying to take her or anything weird, but he also can't think of a damn reason not to bring her along. Plus, Luna clearly likes her, so it'd definitely save him from dealing with Luna's crying tantrums all day, making it a total win for him. Luna gently taps Neru as if urging her to come with them, and Clem bluntly repeats his offer. He asks if she'd prefer becoming Luna's personal wet nurse, or if she'd rather stay here getting used and harmed by these filthy bandits. Neru hesitates. She knows damn well it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but as far as she knows, Clem is just another slave, and hitching her hopes to him feels short-sighted as hell. She quietly admits she wishes things were different, but tells Clem she can't go with him. She gently explains that as long as he's a slave too, she can't trust he'll be able to protect her. Plus, there are plenty of other helpless kids here who depend on her for survival. Reluctantly, she hands Luna back to Clem, gives them one last sad look, and quietly walks away. Meanwhile, the bandit assholes drag Alicia over to a sketchy-ass bridge and force her to walk out onto it. Halfway across, she pauses and stares down, making the bandits laugh their asses off. They mockingly warn her that jumping from this height would be a quick ticket straight to hell. But Alicia's actually staring at something else entirely, gleaming gems resting at the bottom of the river below. She instantly recognizes the place and mutters in disbelief before the bandits gleefully confirm this is the exact spot where the legendary hero Cordwar bit the dust. Right then, one brave, desperate captive steps forward, claiming he'll dive down and retrieve whatever the bandits want if they'll just let him and his wife go. His wife frantically urges him on, reminding these scumbags they promised to release them. But as soon as the poor guy plunges into the water, monstrous creatures emerge and immediately tear him to shreds, leaving the wife screaming like hell. Alicia grits her teeth, knowing full well these lying bastards never planned on releasing the guy. She realizes with dread that this place is basically hell on earth, infested with Arvensis, horrific monsters that flooded into their world 300 years ago. Back then, people at least had solid ground to fight on, but even Cordwar, the strongest hero of his time, couldn't handle these nightmare creatures. His legendary sword, the Stream Splitter, remains down in that cursed river to this day. And now these greedy bastards want someone stupid enough to retrieve the sword, even though it's clearly impossible. Furious, Alicia calls out the bandits for being complete scumbags, knowing full well they deliberately sent the poor guy to his death without even bothering to tie his rope properly. They snap back at her, reminding her she's not here to lecture them, and the bastard who's going to discipline her is already waiting. Alicia turns to see the disgusting thug feeder jump onto her bridge, openly leering at her and loudly fantasizing about stripping her. But before Fido can even lay a finger on her, Alicia suddenly breaks one of her own hands to slip free, snatches the sword from him like a damn boss, slices through the bridge ropes, and leaps off into the air. As she plummets toward the ground below, she mutters under her breath, desperately hoping Clem wasn't bullshitting when he assured her she wouldn't die. The gang then peers down, panic setting, and when they spot Alicia's lifeless body, they urgently realize she was their only lead to locating the lost 13 Regalia weapons. At the same moment on the ground below, Alicia wakes up, her immortality curse placed by Clevides, bringing her back to consciousness. While she can't die due to the curse, it doesn't grant any regenerative powers, leaving her completely immobilized from the neck down, with absolutely no damn idea how to proceed. Every bone in her body feels shattered, and substantial blood loss makes it impossible for her to move on her own. She knows that remaining undiscovered by the bandits is crucial, so she desperately struggles until her spilled blood begins floating upward, summoning Clem to appear before her. Surprised by Clem's unusually small form, Alicia learns that his current size is due to his manifestation from the blood magic sustaining her immortality. Clem explains that this magical blood is essential to her survival. If she completely bleeds out, she'll truly die. But if Alicia continues proving useful, Clem promises to replenish all of her blood, enabling her body to heal fully from the injuries. Relieved by this assurance, but noticing Clem hasn't begun the healing yet, Alicia asks why he's hesitating. Clem assures her he will heal her, but first needs her insight on something. He recently identified Neru as the ideal candidate to serve as Luna's wet nurse. Despite Clem, even with his demonic senses, recognizing the severe mistreatment Neru suffers here, when he offered her a chance and escape to a far better life as Luna's caretaker, she shockingly refused him outright. Clem seeks Alicia's understanding of why Neru rejected such a beneficial proposal. Alicia surmises Neru likely views Clem as powerless, a slave incapable of fulfilling his promises. Bandit groups like theirs never willingly let anyone leave, relentlessly hunting down any escapees. Having grown up in such a harsh environment, Neru probably believes freedom is an impossible dream. Clem asks Alicia if there's any solution to this problem, and Alicia suggests that the simplest option would be eliminating all the bandits in the base. Without anyone left to chase after Neru, she'd be much more inclined to accept Clem's proposal. Alicia points out that with Clem's immense power, wiping out the entire bandit group should be easy, but Clem refuses, concerned about drawing unwanted attention. He can afford to reveal his absence from the mountain, fearing others might seize the opportunity to attack Clevides' territory. Instead, Clem insists Alicia should handle it, reasoning it wouldn't be unusual for a hero like her to eliminate a group of bandits during her journey. Alicia attempts to argue back, but Clem interrupts and insists she carry out the task, immediately flooding her body with magic-infused blood to restore her strength. Soon afterward, the bandits arrive at the bottom of the cave to locate Alicia's body. They're horrified to witness her body contorting unnaturally, bones snapping back into position and tissues rapidly mending, subjecting Alicia to unimaginable pain. Eventually, her body fully heals, leaving her completely restored. The bandits are astonished by her survival, but quickly shift their focus, believing they can still force Alicia to guide them to the 13 Regalia. Aware of her hero status, they proceed cautiously, but feel confident in their numbers. One Eater bandit foolishly charges ahead alone, striking Alicia's shoulder. However, compared to her recent agony, this blow feels insignificant. So Alicia swiftly seizes his arm, delivers a powerful punch to his face, and claims his sword and eye patch. Despite her reluctance to fight, she recognizes the bandits as irredeemable threats who must be eliminated. With Alicia handling the bandits, Clem now focuses on locating Meru and convincing her that escape is genuinely possible. In the meantime, Meru goes back to the tavern, greeted by a worried Karma. Karma expresses concern over the constant abuse Naru endures, frustrated by her own inability to stop the bandits. Naru deeply appreciates Karma's kindness but acknowledges the workload awaiting them, prompting Karma to gently ask Naru to start washing the dishes. Karma sees Naru seems unusually cheerful for someone who just got roughed up and quietly asks if something good happened to her. Naru hesitates, not exactly calling it good, but admits it made her feel happy. She curiously asks Karma if she knows anything about the outside world, catching Karma completely off guard, because Neru has never shown interest in that topic before. Karma cautiously questions why Neru would want to know, so Neru shyly explains she was born in this camp and has no idea what it's like out there. But Karma was brought here from outside, meaning she must have some stories to share. Karma quietly acknowledges she does know about the outside world, but admits they aren't pleasant memories. Like most women who ended up here, their homes were either destroyed or they simply never had homes in the first place, making their past lives something they rarely discuss. Curious and a bit concerned, Karma asks why Neru suddenly cares about the outside, so Neru innocently replies that someone asked if she wanted to leave. Instantly furious, Karma slaps the shit out of her and scolds her harshly for saying something so dangerous out loud, especially with bandits still hanging around the tavern. To these bandits, they're disposable slaves who can be tossed aside whenever they're no longer usable. This is why all the girls had always stuck together and looked out for one another, and if Neru wants to survive here, she can't afford to say such careless things like that. Right at that tense moment, Vroko walks into the tavern, clearly having overheard their conversation, instantly making Karma anxious about what might happen next. Nervously, she tries to act casual, asking Vroko what brings him down here since he rarely visits the tavern. Vroko calmly replies he's heard there's a baby around and came to check on it. Karma quickly nudges Neru, asking her to tell Vroko where Luna is. Neru casually says the baby was in the stables last time she checked, and Vroko announces he'll go take a look himself. However, just as he's about to leave, Vroko suddenly orders Neru to come with him, and Karma's blood immediately runs cold. She can tell by his tone exactly what that means, and it can't possibly be good. Karma desperately tries to speak up for Neru, but since she holds no power here, there's nothing she can actually do. Neru, clueless about what's awaiting her, obediently follows Vroko. Once they're gone, Karma angrily slams her hands on the table, overcome with guilt and frustration. Neru was the only one around who could feed the babies, but Vroko clearly didn't care less. Karma tries convincing herself there's nothing she could have done and bitterly tells herself that Neru brought this fate upon herself by openly talking about escape in front of Vroko. But no matter how much she rationalizes it, she can't shake off the heavy guilt weighing down her heart. Right then, Klen walks in carrying Luna, startling Karma since she hadn't heard him approach. She quickly calms down, figuring he must have come by to let Luna nurse. Regretfully, Karma tells him that Neru was taken away and likely won't be returning. She hates it, but that's just how things are around here. Klen doesn't understand what Karma means and demands she clarify immediately. Seeing the intensity in Klen's eyes, Karma quickly realizes he's dead serious about ensuring Neru's safety. At the same time, Vroko guides Neru down a hidden stairwell into an area she never knew existed, despite spending her whole life in this camp. Neru is fascinated as Vroko explains that these tunnels were once part of a massive magic ore mine. Magic ores have tons of applications. Even the lamp Vroko carries is powered by magic ores blended with insect oil to create its flame. Before turning into a bandit, Vroko spent a lot of time researching magic ores and how to mix them with different liquids to produce unique effects. And as he casually mentions this, Neru notices skulls scattered on the floor, but Vroko, with a wicked smile, dismissively claims they're merely rat bones, assuring her it's nothing to worry about. Suddenly, Vroko extinguishes the lamp, plunging the tunnel into complete darkness. Neru instantly panics, desperately begging him to turn the light back on. Vroko calmly complies, and when the flame flickers back, Neru is horrified to discover Betty, Vroko's pet monster, towering right behind her, looking so damn hungry. Proudly, Vroko explains his research led him to a special mixture that grants control over demons like Betty. This discovery is precisely why he's now the leader of this ruthless bandit gang. And as the leader, he can't afford to let someone like Neru live after openly expressing her wish to escape. Thus, he's decided that Betty will handle Neru's execution personally. Reality hits Neru hard as fear surges through her, and she frantically tries to escape. So Vroko coldly gives Betty the order, and the monster swiftly begins pursuing Neru. As Neru stumbles and struggles to flee, she bitterly recalls Klen's earlier offer. She deeply regrets rejecting it, knowing that if she'd said yes, things might have ended differently. Right then, Neru notices Klen standing at the far end of the tunnel holding Luna, and her heart breaks as she realizes she'll never be able to care for Luna again. Usually, this is exactly when Klen would heroically save her, but unfortunately, Neru gets swiftly devoured by Betty, swallowed whole and seemingly gone forever. Luna immediately bursts into tears after witnessing such a horrific sight, but Klen gently comforts her, explaining this is simply how the world works. Magical beasts have to eat too, so blaming Betty is pointless. If anyone is at fault, it's Klen himself for arriving too late. He's genuinely frustrated at losing someone as valuable as Neru, but there's nothing he can do now. Klen then calmly shifts his attention toward Vroko, puzzled at how a proud troll from the western forests could ever serve a weakling fat dwarf with a buck-toothed face like him. Vroko is completely stunned by Klen's audacity to insult him at a time like this. He's also baffled about how Klen even reached this place, but ultimately, it doesn't matter. Angry, he commands Betty to consume Klen as well, but shockingly, Betty refuses to move. Vroko looks up at his usually obedient monster, only to be met with a sight he's never seen before, Betty trembling in pure terror. In fact, she's so frightened that she involuntarily vomits up Neru, who emerges badly burned by stomach acid and missing both an arm and a leg. Despite the horrific injuries and disfigurement, Neru somehow clings to life. Without hesitation, Klen swiftly neutralizes the acid covering Neru's body and gently places Luna beside her, letting him offer comfort during her final moments. He then discreetly sends one of his shadows to quietly carry both Luna and the severely injured Neru away, while Vroko is distracted. When Vroko turns back to confront Klen again, he's utterly shocked to discover that Luna and Neru have disappeared. Confused and enraged, Vroko assumes Klen must have used some form of magic, but amusingly enough, Klen himself has absolutely no idea what magic even means. Vroko assumes Klen is pretending not to know what magic is because magic is the only possible explanation for all the weird stuff he's been doing. Basically, magic involves mixing magic stones with other strange ingredients to create special effects. For example, this weird drug hidden in Vroko's coat is made from magic stones, a few rare herbs, and the larvae of a nasty parasitic fly. When someone inhales it, they become dumb as hell, except for Vroko himself, obviously. That's exactly how he made Betty so obedient in the first place. Without hesitation, Vroko tosses the drug into the fire, causing a vapor to spread quickly through the air. The moment Betty inhales it, her mind goes blank and she charges straight at Klen in a rage-fueled frenzy. Klen's fragile human body gets smacked around like a ragdoll since he can't fully access his true power in this form. While he flies through the air, bouncing painfully off the cave walls, the only thing running through his head is how furious he is at Alicia for not warning him about this whole magic thing. Speaking of Alicia, she's currently busy slicing through bandits like they're discount meat, already having dropped 8 of them. Unfortunately, there's still a whole mob left to deal with, and the cheap sword she swiped off the first bandit has already snapped in half. She realizes she'll need a way better weapon if she's going to finish off this entire gang, so she makes a break for the flooded part of the cave. Around 50 angry bandits are still chasing her, and even though she's immortal, exhaustion is a very real problem. If her energy runs out before the bandits do, she's seriously screwed. Alicia finally reaches the flooded area, but there's already a pack of hungry monsters swimming at the surface, ready to snack on her. Jumping straight in would be suicide, so instead, she rushes up the wooden scaffolding, luring as many bandits after her as possible. Once a big group has followed her up, Alicia swiftly slices the ropes holding the scaffolding together, sending the screaming bandits crashing into the water below. With so many bandits suddenly flailing in the water, the monsters lose their minds and start tearing into them, enjoying a full-on buffet. While everyone is busy getting eaten, Alicia hides herself inside a nearby barrel. Since suffocating to death isn't a problem for her, she patiently waits as the barrel sinks into the depths, bringing her safely down to the bottom of the lake, exactly where the legendary sword awaits. If you enjoy the recap, make sure to let me know down in the comments. And of course, don't forget to drop a like, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, turn on the notification bell so you're the first to catch the next episode as soon as it drops. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.